and let's start turning our attention to the Kettle, because I think the Kettle is going to be the first time you're seeing hops. Do you guys do anything in the mash? You guys don't do any mash hopping?
We don't do any mash hopping.
Okay, cool. So I'm not missing anything there. So let's kind of talk about that Kettle hop regimen. What does that look like for Hop on Top, your West Coast IPA?
So we're doing like 10 IBUs at 60 minutes.
Yep. And it probably something like clean, I'm assuming, like a Warrior Magnum kind of thing.
Yeah, Magnum type of thing, which is like probably a pound or whatever of that high alpha hop. And then I still believe in late boil hops. So we're doing a 10-minute, a 5-minute, and then a whirlpool.
Yeah, man. And it's kind of interesting. And it is funny. And you use the terminology you still believe. And it's kind of funny because, I mean, if you remember when we first got in the game, it was like 60, 45, 30, 15, 20, 10, 15. 5. Yeah. Well, that's even when the handsome Italian over at Dogfish Head was 60, the constant hop, you know what I mean?
Hop dropping.
The endless hop dropping, baby. There was no end. And dude, Sam Calagione, bless your heart, man, brother. You can market. First of all, you look like the high school quarterback that still has it somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your marketing is on point, brother. So I mean, it's no hate there. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, because they were rocking the 60-minute IPA, the 90-minute IPA, right? And but yeah, and so and you mentioned, you're still kind of a believer. Talk to me because obviously things have been changing, like with hazy beers, there's less and less hops in the Kettle, and most people just have them in the whirlpool. Yeah. So talk to me about what you feel like that, and because we're not talking about a long boil. Right. On these hops. We're not talking about like that 45-minute edition. You're talking like a 20, a 15, 10 kind of thing. Yeah. What do you feel like that character is in those beers?
That's a tough question. I just feel like it adds character to those beers. I feel like it's something you can't get just from whirlpool hopping.
Sure.
It's like
do you feel like it's a structure thing?
Yeah, I do.
Like almost like maybe is it kind of on the polyphenol side too?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think I know what you're talking about, because I think maybe we've all had those juicy beers, those hazy beers that and the flabbiness I'm going to talk about maybe isn't just so much of a lack of bitterness, but it's almost a lack of hop structure.
Yeah, for sure.
And I've come across some guys over the years that have talked about it. And I think it was when Andy was with me at Crankers. Because Professor IPA back then, that was 4 ounces at 60. Yeah. Just to break the boil. Then everything else was whirlpool. Brother, and do you remember what was in the whirlpool of that beer?
Oh, Jesus. What was it? Summit? And
it was those Summits that you put me on.
Oh, those are tasty.
They had this old stock of Summit, but for some reason, dude, and Summit kind of has this Summit has this reputation of like onion and garlic.
Yeah.
But bro, I tell you, these were some of the fruitiest Summits. Yeah. And they had to be every time we called it Willamette Valley and ordered another box of those things. They had to be like, this is back in Michigan. They ordered another box of that.
Yeah,
they were like 3. There was like a 3-year-old crop or something at the time. Yeah. It was like an older crop.
Yeah, they were those.
They were great, dude. Yeah. And it was like Cascade and Summit in that beer, man. Yeah. And then I remember when Andy was working for me, he felt as if it was missing Kettle character.
Yeah.
And he's like, so man, what if we just put something in at 10?
Yeah.
Like, let's just put a couple pounds in at 10 and whatever, right? I love that. Yes. And so that was a change we made with that beer. And that was also a fix for, do you remember? Because when I was just doing that small 4-ounce edition, and all those Whirlpool hops, we would get that beer into the bright tank, and it would be a muddy mess. And we're like, dude, we biofined it. We know the yeast is out. What is going on? This this stuff looks like dog crap. And we're like, we could never put this into a bottle. But it was, because it was bottles back then. But that beer was hazy, dude. I mean, that and by the way, please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Bill and I were the forerunners of this crap, because all I was doing was I was mimicking what I heard they were doing at Alchemist. So that's the only reason I had the nerve to have the hop schedule that I was doing at that time at my first pro spot. So, but no, I'm just saying, like, some of those early things, I was getting haze on these beers, and it was a polyphenol hop haze. But we're like, dude, what are we going to do with this, right?
Spending hours on the plate frame chiller. I
just remember apologizing because I didn't know how to do anything like with a pump or anything. And Billy's over there, and I'm like, oh. And I'm sure you're getting like texts from like Nikki, your wife, and stuff. You're like, I mean, when's work over? And you're like, oh, this guy still got me here. We're on this 9-hour filter run. But
the game.
But anyways, man. But no, I mean, I remember even back then, wanting to work in and get some of that Kettle character. And honestly, brother, I think that Kettle character, and you say that you still believe in it, I think it's necessary for the style.
Yeah, for sure. Especially West Coast IPAs. Yeah, I agree.
And it is. I do feel like it's a structure thing, and I think it's a range of flavor too.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? It really is.
Absolutely.
It really is. So let's get into that a little bit. Let's talk hop varietals. Let's talk when they're going in, and then let's also kind of frame some whether you have pounds per barrel information or total pounds and how much wort they're going into. So how much wort do you start with in your kettle?
We got a 20 barrel system.
Okay. So this is built on 20 barrels. And so walk me through those kettle additions, man.
All right. So at 10 minutes, we're 6 IBU of Cascade.
Yep.
And then at 5 minutes, we're 5 IBU of Centennial. And a lot of this is driven by what hops we have and what hops we need to get rid of.
Sure.
So, and then at flame out, we're a pound per barrel of Amarillo El Dorado split.
Okay. You've always been big on El Dorado. And I do love, though, are you pulling... when you mentioned Cascade, are you guys running a fair amount of Crosby stuff there? Crosby hop?
Oh yeah, a lot of Crosby.
Yeah, man, dude, their Cascade's baller though.
Yeah, for sure.
I think sometimes people kind of sleep on some of those varietals a little bit.
Yeah.
For sure. Sometimes you might have that feeling like you need to apologize for using Cascade or Centennial.
Oh yeah,
but dude, folding them in there, and I like the fact that you're getting them into the boil. You're getting a little bit of boil on them. Do you have a ballpark, even just like on what? Okay, and so you said, and then a pound per barrel, so basically 10 pounds each of El Dorado and Amarillo. Yeah. And I remember you were the one that got me on El Dorado.
Yeah.
What do you love about El Dorado?
I love it. To me, it reminds me of my youth. Like to me, it's dried apricots.
Yeah.
Especially in the dry hop, and especially from Crosby, they have their El Dorado crop is great. And it's like a dried apricot. It's peachy, apricot-y.
Yeah. And it's that great peach and apricot is such a great in between flavor too, right? Yeah. So like when you're trying to create like ranges of flavor, right? Like that stuff, it goes so well between some of the classic citrus.
Absolutely.
That you can be popping out of some
hops. You can build on
that. And even stuff that's going to be pushing some of the citrus, but also floral side of things.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you might be able to get you might be able to get some grapefruit out of Cascade, but you can also sometimes get a nice geraniol or geranium thing out of it. as well, right? And it creates a nice range of flavors.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And so I know you mentioned the IBU. Do you happen to know the volume of hops of the 10-minute and the 5-minute edition, or do you just have the IBU right there?
No. So it'd be basically 20 pounds in the Whirlpool.
Okay, in the Whirlpool. And then what about the 10-minute edition and the 5-minute edition?
So 10-minute would be.
That's all right. If it's a 6 IBU edition, you're probably looking at a few pounds, but also you can punch that stuff into your calculator, guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that's what we're doing. You're using Beersmith?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think just about everybody I know is using Beersmith.
Yeah.
So that's great, dude. You're getting your boil on there. You're getting your Whirlpool stuff in. I like both of those. I like both of those hops for the Whirlpool. Talk to me about Amarillo a little bit. Where are you getting your Amarillo from, and what do you feel like you're getting out of it?
We're getting it from Crosby, and I feel like it's not the same as it used to be, of course. But the Crosby Amarillo is really nice. You get a little dank, you get a little diesel, but it's still much fruitier than a lot of the Amarillo I got my hands on recently.
Definitely, and I remember that early on. I remember we because Amarillo is one of those ones that was popping off back in the day.
Oh, God,
when we were first kind of working together and stuff. And it did start getting that one can get a little diesely. And you know, honestly though, that stuff is personal preference too.
For sure.
I mean, some people don't mind a hair of that. Like, what did something that blew my mind? Who was Nicole Ernie? Nicole, shout out Nicole Ernie. We had fun. We had a blast out there with that whole crew when I did a Christmas episode with the Brewing Network out there. That was hilarious. If you want to hear something crazy, go back to a 2012 Christmas episode of the session, and you can hear what happened to Nicole. But I remember Nicole talking about, how was she describing it? She had there's terminology in the wine world and it's maybe not diesel or fuel, or they had a classier way of saying it. Yeah.
It's diesel fuel.
Yeah. But no, I mean that can be part of those hops too, and some people like them as some complexity in there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Amarillo used to be just a peach bomb. In the early days when I was homebrewing, it was just peach. It was like the best top I could get my hands on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
For sure.
It changes.
Well, I mean, it all changes. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you feel as if you got any value out of the video, please like and subscribe. There are also other videos that you can watch. They're going to maybe be over here or over here. Appreciate you watching.